So, Mark, I just booked a European cruise in June. I'll talk about that on the MTM Travel podcast. But of course, I still don't have a flight.
Yeah, shocking no one, but you're going to rely on your tried and true friend called Frontier Airlines.
If only they flew to Europe. So one of the trends now with technology is these digital arrival cards, these e-visas. We talked about Rio. Europe is implementing some version of it. The UK has their version. Heck, even the US has its own version, very strict. Well, Thailand is joining the bunch. Now, the good news is this is less of a visa, so they're not charging you a fee to fill this out online. I do think they charge a fee in your airline ticket, though, so keep that in mind. But basically, instead of the form you would fill out when you arrive there, you're going to do it online. You can do it up to 3 days before your trip, and make sure you do that, and then you'll be good to go. Maybe it'll all go quicker when you get there.
Yeah, I wish everybody would do this. I mean, this is similar to what Singapore has. You fill it out and you get approval and everything, and then you just go right through security. Nobody even really checks. You just kind of scan your face and everything, your passport, and move on through. And we talked about in the Bahamas how we landed, they didn't give us the cards on the plane, and then they're like, you got to fill that out before you can go. So everybody's rushing to fill it out. This is such a better system. It should alleviate some of the backups and everything, makes everything quicker. Same with like MPC coming into the US, even for US citizens. You answer like 3 questions, and they're easy, stupid questions like, are you bringing anything back? Where did you go? Something like that. It's 3 questions, and all of a sudden you get to skip this 2-hour line. It doesn't make sense, but that's the way it is. So hopefully this moves it along. I know when I went into Thailand, I was there late at night. There was basically no line or anything, but my buddies that had gotten there during the day had been backed up. I think it took like 45 minutes to an hour to get through. So hopefully this brings that down to like 15 minutes, something like that, in the busiest of times.
What's crazy today is they're tracking everywhere you go and what you're doing anyway. So hopefully in the future you won't even need it. And I'm not saying that's a good thing, but when you arrive in the US on global entry, it already knows your entire itinerary, where you've been, where you're going, and it'll show you arrived on this flight just from your face, right? So it's already doing some of that stuff. So I wonder if this is sort of a bridge until the scary future where you just show up and they already know everything that you would have put on that form. So I don't know, is that good or bad?
Minority Report, is that what we're talking about, like the future of that?
I mean, I think it's already there. Like, I think they already are tracking it pretty closely, at least in the US and some other countries. So we'll keep an eye on that. I agree with you. It's better. I hate having to fill out forms. You used to have to do it for the whole family back in the day, all these countries when we were traveling. And you've had to fill out too many of them when you've memorized everybody's passport number.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. I don't I don't know that I'll ever remember mine.
So let's move on to some credit card news. The IHG Best Ever card offer ends on April 30th. That's the one that gives you 200,000 points, and that's split among 2 different spending requirements. You get 140K after 4,000 in purchases in the first 3 months, and then another 60K after 9,000 total purchases in the first 6 months. That does include the earlier spending. So basically, spend a total of 9K in 6 months, you'll get the whole bonus, and that offer is ending soon. Not the most valuable points, but yeah, this is a big chunk and certainly worth looking at. Great card to keep too long term.
Yeah, I think, this is the best it's ever been. So if you're going to grab it, it would be the time. And these points are, worth 0.6 of a cent, somewhere in there. So you're talking, $1,200. So nothing to sneeze at, a decent amount of value there. And I find this to be my 3rd favorite hotel loyalty program as far as booking hotels with their points. And it's often significantly cheaper than what we're seeing with Hilton in a similar area. I'm talking more like small town roadside type hotels where Hilton will be like 40 or 50K and IHG will be like 20K. And then you'll see Hyatt still in like the 12 to 15. Hyatt's creeping its way up to being similar a lot of times to IHG. So I think the points are more valuable than people give them credit for, at least depending on where you're going. I mean, high-end hotels get pretty expensive pretty quickly, but if you need like that Hyatt Place level stay, they come in handy quite a bit.
But who needs 200,000 when you could get 400,000 points or cents or whatever? The Capital One Venture X business card has this insane bonus. So there is a version where you can go to a banker potentially, and shout out to DDG for that, where you can get up to 400,000 bonus miles. But the public offers for 350,000 miles. So you get 150,000 miles after you spend 30,000 in the first 3 months. Clearly a high spending requirement, but it gets even worse. Then you get 200,000 more miles after you spend 200,000 in the 6 months. And then again, the 400,000 mile offer even has higher spending than that. So a crazy amount of spend, but certainly worth it. I mean, if you have that much spend, it's really hard, I think, to certainly get it juiced up. And at least this is giving you an extra 1x on top of your everyday spending on a giant amount of spend.
Yeah, I think there's businesses out there that have this in a couple months type of spend, and that's what they're really shooting for. The Capital One is focused since day one when they started rolling out these business cards is we want really, really high spenders. And that's kind of where we're driving versus like the small business. That's where they're kind of going. So if you have it, it's nice because people are like, well, then you could get 18 sign-up bonuses, with that same amount of spend. But it's not easy. You can't sign up for that many cards. Sooner or later, you start to get denials, or you've run up against like limits within each bank and stuff like that. So this is nice that it gives you a big chunk to work on, and you can hit it over time. And then you're getting, when it's all said and done, I think it's like 3.75 miles per dollar on all that spend. So it works out that it's better than you would get most of the time on that. Yes, you could get multiple sign-up bonuses, but that's not the way it works for everybody.
And when you're a business and you have giant amounts of spend, you don't want to open 8,000 credit cards and have to account for that and do it with the accounting and where you're, if you're buying merchandise, whatever it ends up being. And so this is a way to put a lot of spend on one card and get a great return. So it is good. It's a great card too, and gets you access to the lounge networks and plenty of other perks. And it's definitely a card I carry. What are the odds that anybody watching this show right now has the spend to get this card?
I bet you there's some doctors and stuff, dentists that own their own office, and that would be up there. Lower than normal, but I think there's several.
Now, this next card, I bet there's more people who are interested in it, and that is the new MGM Iconic card. Now, they launched 2 new cards, a no annual fee card, which is kind of similar to the card they had before, and then the Iconic card, and they had marketing images with Iconic all over it. They have a special metal card as part of this launch, and this is really them kind of upping their game into a more nuanced credit card offering with a $249 annual fee. But this card has some interesting bonus categories. You earn 6x at MGM properties. It has a number of 2x bonus categories, including like hotel, dining, grocery. You can earn extra tier credits with 25K spend, a free hotel night. Basically, they've carved out a way to spend yourself to status in a much easier way. Not as quite as easy as some people would have hoped for, but certainly much better than what they had before.
Yeah, I know a lot of people wanted, to get gold from just paying the annual fee, which when you get the $200 credit, they're not going to give away that status. It makes it, worth so much less, and then people aren't going to gamble and chase it for that way. So I think this is a nice, in between. I know you were saying like if they should have had, if you spend 25K, then you get gold, something along those lines. I think that would have been a really nice perk of the card. I mean, you can kind of get close to there with the 10,000 point bonus. And then if you do it in a 2 times earning category, you're looking at 60,000 of the 75,000 needed. So you're almost there with 25K in spend. And I think the certain type of person that either really values MGM or loves Vegas will like this card. And then the other, type of people that are crazy like us that can do a lot of grocery spend or something like that might find it interesting and another way to get some status, some free stays and MGMs in a lot of places outside of Vegas. So it's kind of like having a backup hotel card in a way.
And I didn't mention the welcome offer, but it is 40,000 points, so about $400 the first year. And then you're getting the $200 credit. So that more than offsets the annual fee. So worth doing that. They're giving you the extra 10,000 tier credits up front as part of this welcome offer as well. So that may or may not come with the card in the future. But as you said, not quite getting you to gold, but getting you close to that. And a lot of perks. And remember, Gold just also added a 5-night free cruise that you would earn as part of this as well, waive resort fees. So even if you have to go above and beyond that 25K a little bit, it may be significantly valuable for the right person to do this. And it's good to have that option now. And I credit them for that. Like I said, my only complaint would have been spend 25K for Gold. I understand why they didn't do that because they have made Gold so valuable now. They just added the cruise perk. They added the waive resort fees, the celebration dinner. And so they want you to earn it. But if you can spend, I mean, you can become a fancy noir or something. You could really get up there.
I don't know about spending that much, but
So would you take your 300,000 and spend and do it on the Capital One card, or throw it all on the MGM card and then you get VIP limos to the airport?
there you go. No, I'd stick with Capital One. I think that would be the better play.
Neither of us have a lot of experience with FNBO. That's the bank here. So we don't know about credit limits. I would imagine usually these smaller banks are a little bit more conservative. Share data points if you've gotten this new card or any experience you have with FNBO. But we don't know a lot about the application experience at this point.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything. I think the Amtrak cards are with FNBO, so that might be the one thing some people have. Those cards have moved around from bank to bank, it feels like, over the last 10 years.
So moving on to some general news and the way that hotel companies are marketing offers. And you've mentioned this before on the show where you'll see, earn 15x at this hotel, and they're taking what you're going to earn in the program and you're going to earn on your credit card and other bonuses, and they add it all together to this big number that they email you. But it really depends on putting it all together. It's a little misleading. And you kind of wrote an article dissecting a current Hyatt promotion where they advertise 20x basically without really kind of showing you how that's earned.
Yeah, and I think, I got a little bit of pushback from this from some people saying it's in the terms, they're not hiding it. Yes, below the sign up box where you put in your Hyatt number, they do break down how they get to the 20x. But if you just look at the above, 20x is highlighted, and they're like the things that they highlight in bold and make bigger have nothing to do with the breakdown. And they know most people are just going to look at that and go, oh, 20x, okay, cool, maybe I'll look at this. Oh, it's only $100 more than that other hotel I was going to stay at in the area. Let's do it because I'm getting a huge return, when it's only really 11x because 5 of it comes from being a Hyatt member that you get no matter what, and 4 of it comes from the credit card that if you're a credit card holder, you get no matter what. So it's a bit deceiving, and we see this with their welcome offer too, where they say, get 30,000 bonus points so they can say it's a 60,000 point offer on the $15,000 in spend. That includes the 1x that you earn anytime. So it's really a 45,000 point offer that requires a total of 15,000 in spend. And that's super deceiving. We've seen this from IHG. We've seen this from others. This isn't unique to Hyatt. They even displayed it a bit better than others have, but it's just, they want that gotcha. We both know people don't read things. They don't read things properly, so I know that's what they're relying on.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Other companies have done it, and I guess this is just more of a PSA to look out for it and to read the terms. You should always read the terms of these promotions. Don't count on the headlines. Our attention is so divided these days that we have thumbnails on YouTube. Everybody's trying to grab people's attention, and this is the example of that. They need to come up with better marketing, and in this case, they're going to throw that big number out there. But it doesn't matter whatever they sell you as the pitch for whatever the deal is. Just make sure you read the terms and that it works for you with any of this stuff, because you're always going to have dates. Many of these you have to register by, for example, this one. So if you don't register in the right way, then you're not going to get it. So just always go through the terms and then make sure you're following them. And then you'll know not only that you're getting whatever you're getting, but that you will get it because you'll get the dates, all the other hoops right.
Yeah, and I think miles and points people are better at this than the normal public. And they tend to look at things from that perspective. Like, well, yeah, you read the terms. They put in the terms, so you can't really blame them. And that's what some of the responses were. But I'm like, this goes out. There's a lot of Hyatt members, millions and millions of Hyatt members. Most of them are not big into miles and points. So they're not going to look at that closely. They're going to, maybe change their thought process or what they want to book and what they're willing to pay because of it. And that's the whole goal. So it's just kind of like, yeah, like you said, a PSA, let people know.
Well, sometimes the best things aren't in the terms, Mark, and they're just things that you don't know about till they die, or you try to keep quiet when they're going on. And there was this loophole with Aeroplan. Admittedly, I didn't know about it, or maybe I had read about it and forgot about it, but Aeroplan is one of the programs that still charges cancellation fees on awards. After COVID, most airlines got rid of that. They keep it. But one sort of way to get around that was to book flexible awards where you could cancel for free. And there was a little bit of a loophole. So let's say you wanted some flexibility. You're booking a trip, but not 100% sure on the dates. You could book a flexible award, which is at a higher price. But then once everything was settled in, you could call the airline, have them convert that to like a saver award, the lowest award. And even if there wasn't space for that, they would give you the lowest pricing. So basically, lock in a flexible award and then later change it to the lowest price. Good stuff. Doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, and this was just a way to get what everybody else was offering. It seems like crazy that they would even allow it for as long as they did. Why not just change your rules to where you don't charge? Maybe they knew coming out of COVID, a lot of things were more unstable and you weren't as sure of your travel plans and things could change on a dime. So they let it go until think it ended sometime last summer. But Ben was trying to use it because it's not something that you use every time you book. A lot of times when you book on Aeroplan, you know where you're going and you just book the lowest available award. Or if that's still available when you do want to lock it in, you could just cancel the flexible and rebook it. So you didn't have to use this that much, but when you did, it was really helpful. And he tried to use it a week ago, and they said, yeah, it used to work that way, but we're not doing it anymore. So it's been a bit, but a lot of people that even have used it probably haven't used it over the last 6-8 months, so they might not be aware. But it would just be nice if they would change it so there was no cancellation fees, or at least a more reasonable one.
So the only real workaround now is to book a flexible award where you're still paying more, where you could cancel for free or you pay the cancellation fee. But if the saver space is still there or the lower price, you could always cancel your flexible award and then get the lower price then. You just can't get it if it's not available. This is kind of advanced stuff where people play games. It's valuable to learn these rules and to learn this sort of stuff, because that's the thing you learn in this game when you meet people, you talk to people. Flexibility is key. And so many people have flights and backup flights and all of this stuff going on, and they might, they see an award space, so they'll throw this down here and then they'll figure out the rest of the trip. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Nobody is more flexible with travel plans than people in this space.
Yeah, and one thing is sometimes when you cancel the flexible award, it goes back into the bucket and it will come back as the lowest available award, either instantly or a little bit later. So you could play that game where you're like, all right, I want to pay it. I want to get it lower, but just make sure that you're okay with it not coming back, because it could not come back. So have a backup flight or another plan, something along those lines. But if you do have that backup flight in place that you're okay with, then you might want to risk canceling it and seeing if it repopulates.
Yeah, many people have done that. That's so nerve-wracking, canceling a flight, hoping that it's going to be there to rebook. Not for the faint of heart, but certainly a trick that a lot of people use. And let us know what your best tricks are for flexible booking. Do you use loopholes like this? How do you plan out your travel? As you know, I do everything last minute, so there you go. And now for some cool food presentation from the future. Now, this is really cool. Mark found both of these videos, and so I started with the first one, which is this cool food presentation where the top layer sort of burns away and you have the food underneath. I was like, this has got to win. This is so cool. And then I saw the second video. It's starting, there's like a hot pot there, and I'm like, all right, well, this isn't as cool as the first one. And then I noticed the guy's hand is on fire. I'm like, all right, something's going to happen with the fire. And then, man, that thing blew me away. All right, that one wins. He wins for sure. The fire drop.
Yeah, the first one feels like Harry Potter almost. It's like a book, and they open it, and they burn off the top, and then, beautiful looking meat is underneath it. And it just felt kind of whimsical in that way, like magic a little bit. But this was like, he lit the steam on fire, essentially, and it burns all the way down to the pot, and then that lights on fire. It was just very cool. So the restaurant in Seoul definitely wins. I know that's high on my son's list. He wants to go there, so maybe we got to figure out where this is and get it done.
What's the problem with Vegas restaurants? We got stupid suitcases with branding and salt being dropped on stuff. What's with this? I want to see this stuff. This is incredible.
And his hand was on fire. I know he was wearing a glove, but it was on fire for a decent amount of time.
That's all I was watching the first time. I was just watching his hand. I'm like, is it still on fire? Is it still on fire? How long could that burn before it gets to the glove? And yeah, just well done. It's cool though. Food, travel, and spectacle, all those go together. And I think both of these are incredible examples. And we need to see more of that here. So how much do you think that book would cost in Vegas?
Geez, $1,200.
Crazy stuff. Let us know in the comments. Have you encountered any crazy food stuff while you're traveling, presentation, all that stuff? Hit us up in the comments there. The MGM credit card, the other credit card offers, crazy spend on that Capital One, but crazy payoff there. Leave a comment. We do 2 shows a week. Mondays, we have our full travel podcast on the same channel, and this news show on Wednesdays. Support us by subscribing, telling a friend, sharing our videos, our podcast. You can listen as well. Help us out in that way. And thanks so much for watching and listening.
Have a good week, everybody.